I'm feeling like this may be a bow mode type of seed, and they're off. Uncle offering up a hefty reward as they find 50 of those 5,000 rupees right there.
And there's our assured sword. So nice when people assure you of something that it actually happens. We got early blue mail.
Yeah, and as it's been pointed out in chat, this is actually, this first section here, the escape section, is heavily going to be reliant upon how well the runners know their NMG routing, aside from a few extra chests here and there.
And we got an 8-bomb drop from the short sword guard, so lunchtime has more than enough bombs now, but we'll see if Kohrek manages to find them.
Yeah, and with one of the changes in version 30 was the removal of the capacity upgrades. You used to be able to find upgrades for bombs and arrow storage of either +5. There were a couple of +10s hanging around, but now they've replaced those with a lot of 3 bombs and a lot of 10 arrows. So a little bit easier now to find those in chests early on. Looks like Kohrek got fortunate there with that green guard dropping a bomb, so won't be looking for any more.
Both of our runners apparently just choosing to swipe at the guard a bunch, not bothering with the pots, and we have the required small key in the Zelda cell.
So we've already seen the map and the key. It means that we got a few more items, or the rest of the chests and escape are just going to be all items. Have to see what we get there.
And I looked away, but I see Kohrek did get a bomb, so thankfully both the runners will have the bomb they need for the 3 items in the back of Thieves, in the back of the escape.
Yeah, and that'll save a bit of time too, since we won't have to slash any more guards for at least a little bit. Kohrek might decide to try to farm for a little more bombs, but it all depends what's in the back of the escape.
I missed this in the Twitch chat, but Wall6996 asked, do all green guards have the same prize pool, or do the different weapons have different pools? No. Each enemy has its own randomized set of items that are in their prize pool. And we got Power Glove in the back of Escape, so it's really good they had those bombs. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the shortcut to get back here. But anyway, each enemy has their own set of prizes that are randomized when the seed is generated. So both runners will get the same sequence of items for all of the enemies. That's why we were just saying, like, Kohrek was hoping to get that short sword green guard. But we have 10 bombs in the Sanctuary, and so from here, the world is the runner's oyster. And we got a map check. We got 5-6 crystals at Desert and Hera, and then we have a blue pendant at Eastern.
So since we're seeing that 5-6 at Desert, what do you think the boot's gonna be?
I don't know. I've commentated a lot of races this week, and pretty much if you can imagine it, the boots have been there. So I'm out of like, oh, I wonder if it could be on the pedestal. It was on the pedestal this week. Oh, I wonder if it could be on Trinex. It was on Trinex this week. Like, I got nothing for you, man. Sorry.
That's all right. It'll be interesting to see if we do see those boots, or even if we even need them to begin with. But that's always something you got to think about as a runner when you see that Desert is a crystal, because it makes pretty big difference whether or not you're gonna go there as soon as possible when you have access to it.
Blind's holding out on all the love.
And a few extra arrows just to boot. We got some powder in the well. So far, really not a whole lot in CAC.
No. And from past anecdotal experience, from times I've raced it, if you get magic powder early, whenever you get the hammer, you need to go to magic bat.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's see what we got back here in the chicken hut. The hook shot. Wow,
okay.
That's a good one. Looks like I was a little too early to write off CAC there.
Yeah, this isn't the early play, most item dense location for nothing.
So with that glove in hand, and now we have the hook shot, might see some interesting routing here from our runners deciding to do a dark room up to Death Mountain, but still a few other options before we force ourselves into a dark room situation.
Literally and figuratively. Yeah, I would imagine South Shore is probably going to be first. And then depending from there, you might consider sequence breaking up to Death Mountain before you do, you know, go check like the Hospitalist Closet in Eastern.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if runners decide to head over that way, knowing that Eastern is pendant. Because they can do a lot, and I think they're both pretty comfortable with sequence breaking. We have a cane!
Alright. That's nice. Doesn't really get us anything right now in terms of progression, but certainly gonna be useful at some point. And the Master Sword in, when you drain the swamp.
Wow, just everything coming a little later than you'd like, but hey, I mean, if you're getting it this early in the game still, that's pretty good.
We're going to see some divergence. Kohrek is heading for Aeginas Cave, which is an often not checked location, whereas Lunchtime's just going to do the standard mini Trolldorm Cave. But mini Trolldorm holding out the Moon Pearl. Alright.
Yeah, and I think Aeginas Cave is one of those locations early on that if you check and it has value, then you're in a pretty good spot. Unfortunately, this time, just a piece of heart as we got Lunchtime heading on over to Ice Rod Cave. And with some of these out of the way one-off locations, it's hard to know when they're routed in. So there are plenty of runners who decide to just get them out of the way early, and that way they don't have to sweat about them later on when they're looking for progression.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember back like in the spring tournament that a lot of like top runners would just forget about Ice Rock Cave and try to just save time not going for it. And now it kind of feels like a lot of the runners have kind of swung back the other direction where no, more often than not, you're taking the time to go check Ice Rod Cave in your standard routing.
Yeah, I think some of the logic has also changed in this version to make it so that there are unique items in those out-of-the-way locations. So there's a little more emphasis on it now, I feel like.
All right. Green Pendant is at Misery Mire. And there's Titansmith, so there's Dark World access.
Ooh, lots of options here. Still could do the Death Mountain play and pick up all those Dark Death Mountain items as well, but be interesting to see if they decide to stay in sequence here.
And I think we're seeing Kohrek about to get out of sequence because looks like he's setting up a fake flipper.
All right, and it looks like Lunchtime's going to give us our first look into the Dark World, heading up to the CAC Dark World portal.
All right, Dark World check. Thieves Town is our other pendant. Everything else is crystals.
far nothing up at Zora's Domain, Waterfall Cave, just a couple of big 20s. Have to check and see what's on Zora Ledge. Unfortunately, Kohrek does not have the money to pay Zora right now, so we're gonna have to skip that for now.
And just a piece of heart on the Zora Ledge. I think Kohrek is saving his water walk and is gonna probably head back and check Hobo with it. Just has to be careful not to get sniped by that Zora.
Alright, so we're getting our first look into Skull Woods, mapping this first chest. See what our good friends the Gibdos have up here. I gotta say, this has been a pretty healthy seed so far. Blue Male, Lunchtime's got 8 hearts, Kohrek has 7. I mean, this is pretty nice for early Dark World access.
Absolutely. So, I was thinking about kind of mulling over the pendants that we have, and as McCambox in chat was saying, he's making his bold prediction that Vitreous is going to have progress, but that's not. I mean, you know, call it whatever kind of prediction you want, but that's not that far off, because actually looking at the items we have already, in theory we can do Thieves Town, but we may need the hammer. Eastern, we would just need the bow, and Meyer, we really just need the medallion to get in the lamp. So we've got a lot of the items to do the Dark World, those pendant dungeons. Oh, we also need the flute to get there. I forgot about that. But pendant dungeon wise, we're about halfway there to getting all of the getting the items needed for the required. Well, they're not required, but getting the pendants if you wanted something to be on the pedestal.
Yeah, we are in a pretty good spot for that. Really just missing bow, hammer, and flute medallion. Yeah, we are. It's a possibility for sure in this seed.
And actually, both of our runners are dipping independent dungeons right now. We've got Lunchtime in Thieves Town, Kohrek and Eastern.
Yeah, this Thieves Town check is pretty good. We'll see how far Lunchtime ends up going in here. There's our lamp.
Okay.
So that means that now, logically, we are able to access Death Mountain. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a runner head up there pretty soon. That's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if I finished it. This is our first bottle. This Thieves Town check is actually pretty good. You can check the first 4 chests pretty quickly and then make a decision on whether or not you want to complete the dungeon. It looks like Lunchtime's going to death warp here.
Yep. Alright, I gotta call out Elminster RTA with Desert and Terra being the 5-6 crystals. He said at least the red crystals have some depth to them.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Looks like our hint in Eastern was alluding to the Cane of Burna being in Mimic Cave.
Good knowledge to have. Really only helps us if progression is in Spike Cave.
looks like we're getting a little more divergence here. Kohrek heading up, might be making the play on Death Mountain here. Meanwhile, we've got Lunchtime playing everybody's favorite digging game for another bottle. Nice.
With a fairy. Lunchtime thought about maybe going to rescue Jeremiah, but instead he's just going to make his way to Stumpy and Hype Cave. Stumpy having red mail.
Good old Stumpy. Someone friendly carrying some new threads.
Okay, so even though Kohrek did sequence break up to Death Mountain, because we found the lamp in Thieves Town, we know that logically this is possible, and we got Tempered Sword in Spectacle Rock. We got a mushroom to start in Hype Cave. We got the bow and a book.
And I don't know if you saw that hint in Spec Rock. The boots are in Tower of Hera.
I did see that.
So just a ton of items now. Wow, I'm not even sure where you head after seeing all of that information.
We certainly think Lunchtime's making his way up to Death Mountain. Now, even though we know the boots are in Hera, we still can't get in there because we don't have the hammer or the mirror to get to Hera.
Yep. But we do have a lot of items coming up here. We've got, let's see, 8 in the light world that we can access, and then another 6 that we can get in the dark world up on East Death Mountain here.
All right. Oh! Lunchtime didn't know about that hint on the boots. He went ahead and checked Lumberjack Ledge. We have a shovel on the Lumberjack Ledge.
The ultimate troll. I cannot count the number of times that I've seen seeds decided by that. Meanwhile, Kohrek picking up their first bottle. And this time we get to see the old man getting rescued through all of the darkness.
Alright, so... Well, there's the 4th bottle. It's on the floating island. Okay, so to your earlier point, we've been into the first 4 chests of Thieves Town. We've been as far as we can into Eastern. Well, not as far as we can. As far as Kohrek could without the lamp, let's put it that way. Given what we have at this point, I would probably be making a play... I would probably be making a play for Desert. Because it is a crystal, you can complete it. And then if we don't get any further progression after that, I probably would go ahead and go to Eastern.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot available to us right now outside of Desert and Eastern. I mean, we're going to see a few more item checks here on Kohrek's side now that he's over in Dark World, but outside of that, I mean, we just don't have a lot more progression-wise right now.
And Lukakuar in chat pointing out that Lunchtime did not check the hint, so doesn't know the boots are in Hera.
Ooh, that's a big one.
All right, we got Ice Rod and Super Bunny Cave, as well as 20 bucks. Cyber Event. So there was a discussion in chat about the fact that if the hammer is on the pyramid ledge, it could still require AGA 1. Cyberventure asked, he's not familiar with the intricacies. How is that means it's AGA required? Because there are hammer pegs. You need the hammer to get through the hammer pegs to deliver the big bomb to the pyramid fairy. So if there's progression, oh, sorry, I meant pyramid fairy, not pyramid ledge. So if pyramid fairy has the hammer, then you have to basically open up AGA 1 to be able to walk through the portal to be able to deliver the bomb to the pyramid fairy to get whatever items are in there.
Yep, and saw that Turtle Rock requires Bombos and really just that Ice Rod up here on Death Mountain. A little bit disappointing.
Alright, so we're gonna see Sick Kid from Kohrek. So, Kohrek apparently has, somehow managed to get all the family life savings today.
Yeah, always good to get that money as early as you can, just on the off chance you want to go talk to everyone's favorite scam artist.
Alright, so Kohrek is making his first play on the Village of Outcasts. We'll see if he goes into Thieves Town and gets the lamp that we know is in there. And he is going in there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he also decides to just do a quick front four here, pick up that lamp, and head a little further south towards Hype Cave. You know, just item density can play a pretty big factor into early routing.
I should point out earlier, as we were talking about the whole thing with the Hammerlock Pyramid Fairy, that we both runners did a check on Turtle Rock, and we are going to need Bombos Medallion to get into Turtle Rock.
We are not even 30 minutes in, and we are at our second row of hearts already. This is pretty ridiculous.
Considering all the inverted seeds we've seen in this tournament, usually help and hard difficulties as well. It's rare to see this many hearts this early. So Kohrek doing the same thing, just doing the first 4 checks in Thieves Town and then death warping out.
Yeah, and we got lunchtime heading over towards Desert. Gotta think that they're gonna poke their head over in this area, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
Alright, so we're going to get a moment of truth here pretty soon about whether or not boots are in fact required to finish this dungeon. We do know where the boots are, but we don't know if we need them yet.
This is also where I'm sure chat would like to remind us that there's that 1 in 22 chance it could be on the torch in Ganon's tower, but we're also boots locked here. Some arrows are in plain sight. Thanks, game.
So no, Kohrek kind of has that advantage knowing where the boots are, while Lunchtime decided not to bother checking that hint. Trying to remember, did we get a Cape Ledge check earlier?
Nope. So you know how we were talking earlier about the potential that this might be a pedestal seed? So
Yeah.
with Desert being boots locked, I mean, we pretty much just have Pendant Eastern and Pendant Thieves Town as our options. And with... It was what? We found 2 items in Thieves Town?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So it is possible that in this logic, the small key locked itself in the Thieves Town big chest. Well, no, if it did, that would mean logically you would need the hammer, so never mind, ignore the talking idiot.
Lunchtime pulling off that fake flipper pretty well. That's one of the ones that you don't see very often, but it's a really cool one. Alright, and Kohrek's gonna get all of their goodies with Jeremiah in tow.
And as Lunchtime is... Or as Kohrek is getting that mushroom, Lunchtime is turning it in. And we get butter.
Wow. 4 swords already. That's really good. I'm sure our runners will be very happy about that. So we talked about Kohrek deciding to pick up the frog who becomes the smith in the light world. One of the reasons that runners don't end up doing this is based on routing. If you have the mirror, this is a much quicker sequence to do, but if you don't have the mirror, it takes a little more time because you got to save and quit and go back to light world that way. We'll see if Kohrek decides to also pick up the purple chest here.
Okay, so I was blabbing on about Thieves Town and the big chest. So Gwendy and I in chat said, if the key is self-locked, you wouldn't need hammer because you could never access it anyway. Well, that was what I was thinking. The thing, though, is that it actually does make it logically required to get the hammer. The logic has to assume that you use the keys in the worst possible way. So if it puts the small key in the big chest and you use your keys wrong, then logically you have to have the hammer to be able to open that chest to get the small key to finish Thieves Town. So actually what I was getting at about maybe we don't need the hammer to finish Thieves Town, it actually is the reverse. It's you want to see that small key to be in order to be able to kill blind.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who joke about how seeing the small key is a bad thing, but it's actually a really good thing if you're in a situation like this and don't have the hammer, and there is the potential for a pedestal seed.
Truth of the matter is that regardless of whether or not stuff is on the pedestal or not, we're basically down to these 2 pendant dungeons. Progression is... I mean, progression could be there. There is... We've been talking about the lunchbox in the Smith chain. That could have progression.
Yeah, and I think Lunchtime's actually doing a little more of Eastern that we didn't get to see. Might actually go ahead and just clear it out while they're here.
I mean, I would at this point, if I've made a play on a pendant dungeon, and we're kind of in the situation we are, I'm getting that pendant because the trek back just to get the pendant, it just would be so much of a time loss.
Yeah, that's for sure. I also just want to point out, we have a lot of items already, but very few dungeons that we can actually clear, and we're about 36 minutes in now.
Yeah, that's what not having the hammer will do to you. Troby also pointing out in terms of where progression could be, because we have the gloves, that does mean Zora himself is in logic. Kohrek is going to go get the lunchbox. And Aga still could be the play, as Freime's saying, even without needing that shovel. You know, we were talking earlier about the hammer situation. Well, we may need to do Aga 1 in order to get to the pod area.
Yeah, and unfortunately that purple lunchbox just holding 50 rupees. Now Kohrek's going to make their play on Desert.
And Eastern had nothing.
So yeah, we're running pretty low on options here. We got a couple items in Thieves, Zora, and then it's a question of who decides to be daring and make the Aghanim play, or Aghanim play.
I would have to imagine you do Thieves Town first. Probably. You save Aga 1 until you absolutely have to do it. So I would imagine since we haven't seen Lunchtime do Smith Chain, he may do that while he's here finishing Thieves Town. So I would imagine it's probably Thieves Town, Zora, Aga.
Yeah, this is a really bizarre seed at the moment, because I mean, usually you get Dark World access, it means that Aghanim's off the table, but the way this is playing out right now, that might not actually be the case. Of course, we also do have this Cape Ledge. I don't think we've seen that yet still.
That is true. But Lunchtime is going south, so that probably means... Well, we'll see where he turns here. Yeah, he's going for Jeremiah.
Meanwhile, Kohrek's headed back into Eastern. Probably gonna clear this one out. Much like Lunchtime just did.
Well, while we're doubling back on different locations that the other runners have seen, let's take this moment and just remind everyone that, again, right now this is a very puzzling race, but we have two great runners that are giving us the entertainment of trying to figure out this puzzle in Lunchtime HEH and Kohrek. So please be sure to give them both follows on Twitch. They are more than deserving of them. Okay, so given the situation that lunchtime is in, so he's done Jeremiah. He did the work to take Jeremiah home now. Do you do Thieves Town before taking the lunchbox to Gary, or do you take the lunchbox to Gary and then trek back to Thieves Town?
I mean, if you're looking at it from a time perspective, you might do... Oh, he has the book.
We might be getting a pedestal check, chat.
I had totally forgotten that they got that. This could be very telling.
Alright. Moment of truth. Is this a pedestal seed? Nope.
Just a really, really confusing seed. Yeah, from a time perspective, I mean, that lunchbox is going to be the fastest overall outside of Bumper Cave, but you might also think to do Thieves Town before you route that lunchbox in, just because you're already in the area. So it'll be interesting to see what Lunchtime decides to do here.
So here's the interesting thing right now, while we're kind of waiting to see what happens. So, we know from a hint, granted Lunchtime doesn't know this, Kohrek's the only one that does, is that the boots are are in Hera. So, and we know that there's a shovel on the lumberjack ledge. So the thing is, even if we do Aga 1, and that shovel does lead to something, we still have to find either the mirror or the hammer to get to Hera to be able to get the boots to get that shovel.
Yes.
So we've still got like a twisted logic chain right now in terms of, like, even if we go to Aga 1 and like something's on the pyramid ledge or in Pod, we still have, like, there's still more of the logic chain that has to be untwisted.
Yeah, I mean, I know at the beginning of the seed we talked about how, you know, this is standard, Uncle Assured, you know, a little more tame than some of these other modes. This seed so far has been far from tame.
Alright, and Lunchtime's finally going back in. Wait a minute. Is Kohrek doing what I think he's doing?
Oh, I think he's going for it.
He's going for the Aga play.
Yeah, and doing Aga, especially without boots too, it's a little bit of a time sink. That butter sword's gonna make it quite a bit faster, but I don't know. This is a tough call to make, and it'll be interesting to see if it pays off. Meanwhile, Lunchtime having or telling us or showing us why some people call that the harmless hellway there, or the hellway. Harmless hellways in the pod.
All right, we got a heart piece in the big chest in Swamp Palace. So when we get there, we won't have to worry about it.
Still no sign of that small key in Thieves Town.
Some caches above the post, so Graveyard Ledge won't need to worry about that. And there's a small key.
So I think we found all the dungeon items. I believe that means there's an item locked in the big chest.
Just making this seed even more twisted. Alright, how many blue balls do you think we're gonna see from the bad wizard?
I'll go with 5.
I'll say 2. Well, there's 1.
Meanwhile, we got lunchtime starting to make quick work here of blind.
Alright, blind is down. We've had 3 blue balls on Aga so far.
Oh. There is still an item in that big chest, which means our hammer is elsewhere.
Alright, so now we've had regular 1. Alright, there's 4 blue balls.
Alright, lunchtime, gonna go pick up that lunchbox. I guess it is really lunchtime. Ha ha ha.
Eh eh. Alright, that's 5 blue balls. There's 6. Alright, 6 blue balls was the correct guess.
Oh, so close.
Alright, we had a bunch. We had you guessed 5 Ha Ha Cell. We also had Addery Heart, True Lotus 1991, and Kilvier guessed 5. We also had Wall 6996 guessed 7. So congratulations to all of you. Since you all tied, you win a boatload of nothing.
Woo! Alright, we're getting a catfish check here from Kohrek. I think lunchtime's gonna be going for the fake flipper here as well. Yep, setting up the NMG strat here. Alright, is Catfish gonna make our dreams come true today?
Nope.
I don't know, I like a nice 3 bombs every now and then, but I'm sure our runners are a little more disappointed in that.
So, our progression is now either in Pod or it's in Zora.
And Kohrek's gonna be first one to head to Pod, and then lunchtime should be making their way up to Zora. They've got the cash, so they should be able to get the stash.
Alright, as Kiki is as Kiki is paying off the extortionist, lunchtime's about to tell us, is pod to play. Aga into pod to play, I should say. Well, yes and no?
Oh, no. Now, for those of you who weren't here earlier, Kohrek has already done the fake flippers, but did not have enough money for Zora. And Bombos is required for Turtle Rock, so that could come back to haunt him.
But that does mean you did have to do Aga 1, and lunchtime is finally surrendering to it.
Wow. We might end up seeing that shovel after all.
Well, we have to find either the mirror or a hammer in here, because at this point, in order to get that shovel off the lumberjack ledge, we have to be able to get to Hera to get the boots that we saw in the hint. So somehow, some way, we have to have progression in Hera, or progression in Pod. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we're still missing quite a few items. Still need the fire rod, the hammer, flippers, mirror, boots. I mean, this is ridiculous. 52 minutes in, and it seems like we're still missing quite a lot.
And the only dungeons we've been able to complete are pendant dungeons, and we already know this isn't a pedestal seed. Oh, the fire rod is the magic bat.
Whoa.
So once we find this hammer, this seed is going to get blown wide open.
So again, that hammer or the mirror even could wind up... Wow, that's 2 pieces of progression that we get from those 2 items right now.
And now Kohrek, forgetting he has the hammer, is now gonna set up a death warp to get to the back of Pod.
Yeah, that's a tough situation with Pod. You don't have hammer, you don't have mirror. I mean, they have so much health too. It's just a pain.
And they also have a fairy in a bottle, so he has to death warp again. Oh, that's... It's like the one time you don't want a fairy. You have it.
This seed is just it's piling up on the ridiculousness. So lunchtime getting started up on their Aga 1 fight. We'll see if they end up heading to Pod immediately or decide to do something else. Meanwhile, Kohrek setting up the hammer jump here. This is a good option, because if he gets this, he can just go backwards through the dark maze and then wind up near or at the routing his way to Harmless Hellway. Wow. And making their way straight to the Helma fight if Hammer is here. So this is very smart routing on Kohrek's part.
I think he's got it lined up now. Alright. Ooh, there's flippers. You know, that might actually help. If there is no other progression, we were talking about how that Bombos medallion maybe end up being very trolly for Kohrek. This may actually help him. If there is no other progression, that means you have to go to Ice Palace, which means you're going to check Zora, because you don't have the bombos, and thankfully it's there.
Oh my goodness! If we don't find the hammer here, you can't even beat Ice Palace though, which just makes this even worse.
Well, pretty much all we have left in Pod is Harmless Hellway. And we're going to Ice Palace.
Wow. This is unreal right now. I cannot believe this. Double dips galore, it feels like.
So that works out for Kohrek in the best way possible, because that means Zora is his only check left. He's gonna get Bombos, and that's gonna lead him to Ice Palace.
Yeah, that'll be very, very nice. Meanwhile, that means that Lunchtime will be able to just go straight to Ice Palace once they finish up checking out Pod here.
Just want to remind everyone right now, we're an hour in. We still have not completed a Crystal Dungeon, and this seed has been brutal. So please, please give Lunchtime ATH and Kohrek follows on Twitch. This is a very entertaining race for us, but this has got to be the most painful seed we've seen for these runners.
You do not see this very often. Most seeds, I feel like about 30 to 40 minutes, you're at least getting one crystal. But this one's just been particularly cruel.
Okay, so let's kind of, well, let's get the hint tile first, and then we'll regroup here. Well, it was a joke hint anyway. Alright, so we got early Dark World access through Titan's Mitts and Moon Pearl. We've essentially been led by the nose for a long time because we've had a lot of items, but not a lot of things that can get us through progression. We got to a point where we basically were like, okay, this is an Agassi, we have to do Aga 1. Got nothing. We've been through Pod and got flippers, and so now we're being led by the nose again into Ice Palace.
Yeah, and we've actually found, we know where two of our items are. We found out through a hint tile that the boots are in Hera, and the fire rod is locked behind Magic Bat. So both of those items require either the hammer or the mirror to get to.
And we also know that Lumberjack Ledge has a shovel, which means there could be progression there, or there could not. Now, because we had to do Aga 1, once we get those boots, it's going to be pretty quick to get that shovel. We won't have to do Aga 1 for it. But the question is still going to be, is that shovel actually lead to something?
Yeah, and I don't know if he already got rid of it, but does Lunchtime still have their fairy as well?
Yeah, he still has it. He's about to get that unfortunate surprise here. Oh, wait. I guess maybe he got rid of it.
Huh. All right,
I must have missed that.
All right, we got Kohrek setting up the bomb jump here. Oof, almost got it. And a nice bomb jump there, getting it second try. So with Ice Palace, we actually don't have access to 3 of the chests here. There's our hammer.
Yeah, we do.
Now we got access to just about everything. Of course the hammer's in Ice Palace. Just has to be in a dungeon where it's required to beat it. I mean, that's all well and good for, you know, the regular game with Hammer being in pod, but Hammer in Ice Palace is just mean.
Alright, some arrows in the Swamp Palace big key are in the left side of Swamp. And we know a heart piece is on the... from another hint that the heart piece is in the Swamp big chest. So, when we get to Swamp, if we're not already in go mode, we don't have to worry about left side.
Yeah, and that's very, very good for our runners. Not having to do all that extra work saves about like a minute, minute and a half.
Okay, so at this point we now know the progression that we need to do. We need to get up to Hera, and from the hint we know the boots are somewhere in Hera. And with that hammer we can also now get to Fire Rod at Magic Bat. But we're still waiting on the mirror to get into go mode, because we're going to need that for Swamp Palace.
Yep, Swamp, the only dungeon that we can't beat right now. We can actually, because of that Fire Rod, we'll be able to beat Turtle Rock. So we're actually pretty close to go mode now. As bad as the seed was early on, I mean, now we're just missing that mirror, but it's always that one item that just can make or break a seed.
Have we found all 3 items in Ice Palace?
I'm gonna trust Kohrek on this one that he did.
Either that or he doesn't have the big key. He doesn't have... Okay, nope. He does... he doesn't have the big key. 2, sorry. That he doesn't have any of the dungeon items, so he's found the 3.
Yeah, it must be true. Alright, so we're gonna see a pretty quick cold stare here. Butter Sword just... well, it's like a hot knife through butter. I mean, just so simple. Already done. Good fight from Kohrek there.
And that is the first crystal of the game, an hour and 5 minutes into this race. Which is Ice Palace of all dungeons.
Yeah, a lot of runners like to save Ice Palace and Swamp Palace when they can near the end, just because they're very quick to go mode and just run through. But in the case of this seed, we're we're not going to be able to do that with Ice, but we very likely will be able to with Swamp.
And predictably at this point, Kohrek is making his way up to Hera to get those boots and get the crystal.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't decide to grab that Fire Rod first. Could have taken care of both Hera and Turtle Rock while he was up here.
That's true.
It does leave the option of saving it for the end, but you never know. Turtle Rock can have an item that they're looking for.
Did Kohrek see the fire bat hint? Yes. Alright, we're gonna see what is on the ether tablet. Just big 20.
Alright, so Kohrek giving us a first look at Hera. Big key early on, so that's really nice to see.
Alright, there's Red Shield. Okay, considering how trolly the seed has been, it gives you a hint that the boots are in Hera. Now watch those boots be in the coffee break room and the small keys on Trolldorm.
With how the seed's been, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point.
Alright, lunchtime has the hammer. Well, there's a small key. And Sahasrara has a piece of heart, so if we have to go into Mire, we know we do not have to go turn in the green pendant.
Alright, gonna get our first look at Moldorm. Moldorm having quite a reputation for knocking runners off, but Kohrek takes care of it just fine this time around.
Well, he's also not trolly, because that's where the boots are.
Wow, good guy Moldorm. Never thought I'd hear myself say that.
While Kohrek is here, he's gonna check Spike Cave. For silver arrows.
Those are really, really nice to have for the rest of this game. Just makes that Ganon fight phase 4 much, much quicker.
Alright, on your way to go get Magic Bat, do you stop and get the shovel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is a little bit out of the way, but with fetch quest items, you just never know.
He's going for, well, no, he's doing Bonk Rocks.
Yeah, nice cold stare fight there from lunchtime. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of another scenario where they're going to end up in this area, so I'd be a little surprised if he didn't go for it. It looks like he is.
Yep. Now, actually, I think Lunchtime was the only one that saw the shovel was on the lumberjack ledge. I think Kohrek is just blindly going for it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But now Kohrek's got the shovel. Lunchtime still doesn't know where the boots are, though.
Now, he does know where the fire rod is, so I imagine that's where he's going now. So we're gonna get a simultaneous bat check.
Question in chat, where was the hint for boots? It was inside of Spectacle Rock.
And we have a fire rod.
Yeah, so now we have the ability to clear every single dungeon outside of Swamp Palace, just needing that mirror to get that completed.
And the sync is going to continue because I think both runners are making their way to Skullwoods to finish off Mothula. Kohrek's doing it a little faster, having the boots from Hera.
Good bonk there to get the full magic right before you head back in the Dark World, since he did blast that cape in Spike Cave.
Now, the one other thing that could potentially be trolly at this point, because we're one item away from go mode. We just got to find the mirror. The thing is, Lunchtime did finish Thieves Town. Kohrek did not. And we know that there is an item in the Thieves Town big chest. We don't know what it is, but we know it's there.
Yeah, that's very true. I think for Kohrek, though, I mean, you've got so many crystals that you have access to now. It's going to be hard to have the desire to go back into Thieves Town.
Especially for how long this race went on, where you did not have any access to any of the crystal dungeons. And now, with getting the hammer and the boots, you've basically opened up 6 of them. You're gonna do those 6 crystal dungeons before you even think about going back to Pendant Thieves Town. Alright, simultaneous Mothula fight with Butter Sword. And blink and you miss it, the moth is dead.
Yeah, very nice moth fight from both of our runners here. Picking up their second crystals at about the 115 mark. I mean, this is just insane.
Alright. Lunchtime is finally going up to Death Mountain. And we're gonna get that shovel checked. Alright, here we go. Strike the earth. Swag net. Man, that was such a troll.
No swag in him too. Little disappointed. Kohrek's gonna head back over to Desert. This is a pretty good play. It's out of all the dungeons, I mean, Desert's pretty well sequestered off, especially without having the flute. So this is good to just get out of the way as soon as you can.
Yeah. There's still an item here as far as I remember. Oh, right, because we were both... The big key is holding the small key. We only saw the cape in the first chest. And Kohrek is going right for Lamulus.
Interesting play. I mean, the big benefit with this is if it's on Lamula's, then you're going to save a little bit of time that you would have had to spend otherwise going to the right side. So I think this is worth the risk. I mean, if you're one of these runners right now, you're looking at your time and wondering, okay, what's going on? Like, you know, I know it's not the best seed, but did my competitor, you know, go to Aga early, or did they do this or that? So you gotta be thinking about starting to take a few gambles here and there.
Three strikes, the Lambos are out of the old ball game for a compass.
Yeah, and the other thing that was actually just pointed out in chat by Momomo89, Pyramid Fairy is now accessible. So we have those 5-6 crystals.
And I think lunchtime is heading for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, we'll see if this ends up paying off. This is pretty good routing though. I mean, the less trips you can take up Death Mountain, the better.
Well, the thing is, there's... My math is right, there's 5 items here, right?
Yep.
So, we've got 5 potential places for the mirror here. We've got the 2 behind Pyramid Fairy, and I don't remember the count we had. The count we had in had left with if Helmasar had an item or not, but this Turtle Rock is certainly the higher percent play right now in terms of where the mirror could be.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking. Finding our first item there, just a big 20. Meanwhile, Kohrek gonna turn in that bomb and probably go finish pod right afterwards. And it looks like he got the glitch. Well done.
Very nice. Alright. Heart container. $50.
Alright, so we are once again starting to run a little low on item locations. It's been kind of one of those seeds, I guess.
Oh, there's the mirror. 1 hour,
right.
21 minutes, 50 seconds. Lunchtime ATH is in go mode.
Wow, that is pretty dang huge. It's looking like Kohrek, even with that crystal lead now, Lunchtime just gets to go mode the rest of these dungeons.
And his gold snake is asking in chat, where were the silvers? They were in Spike Cave. Lunchtime is not gonna find them.
Oof. Vanilla Big Key in Turtle Rock. That's not something you really want to see if you're trying to go mode this dungeon. Much faster if that Big Key is early. Alright, we got a Helmosaur coming up from Kohrek. Lunchtime finding that next key. Just has to find one more on Laser Bridge in order to complete this dungeon.
Alright, Helmosaur down.
Yeah, very clean fight there. 2 slashes with the Butter Sword, and Helmosaur goes down in that second phase.
Alright, and we did get all the items in pod, it was just a map left.
Really, I think the only spot Kohrek can really go at this point is gonna be Turtle Rock.
Yeah. So the thing is, Lunchtime's about to get Turtle Rock finished. He still has to do Go Mode Desert, Go Mode Pod, Go Mode Swamp. Kohrek will have to do the full clear of Turtle Rock and the Go Mode of Swamp Palace.
Yeah, that seems about right. The only thing for Lunchtime is, again, like you said, still has to do pods, still has to do desert. Desert you can route in a little better, having to do Swamp Palace first, but pod's still kind of out of the way, so this looks like it's going to be a very close race.
And the thing is, you don't have the flute, which would certainly make it easier to get to Desert, Pod, and Swamp.
Yeah, not having those silvers, it's going to make Land Molas take a little bit longer, unless, you know, obviously Fire Rod is very quick as well, and potentially Swamp Palace depends on how familiar they are with the NMG strat or a number of other factors.
I think what's going to be really telling about the state of this race is going to be when Kohrek finishes Turtle Rock and then makes his way to, when Kohrek finishes Turtle Rock, that means all he has to do is go to Swamp. So where lunchtime is in terms of what he has left to do will kind of tell us. That'll be kind of the point where we know kind of who has the advantage at that point.
Yeah, and then really it just comes down to GT big key placement and execution. Good old NMG execution.
Alright, 128.10, Kohrek is in go mode.
Yeah, and as trolly as the seed was for the first about hour of it, you know, 128 for a go mode really is not that bad if you've only got a couple of dungeons left to clear out.
Where were Silvers? Silvers were in Spike Cave. That is why Kohrek has them and lunchtime does not, and, you know, lunchtime, with both of them having butter, the Silverless Ganon fight is going to be pretty straightforward with lunchtime, but it's not going to be as fast as Kohrek being able to just use Silvers on Ganon.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to phase 4. I still can't make out who really is ahead right now, just because Kohrek has that crystal advantage still.
Alright, well, lunchtime has Helmassar down. And actually, you know what I'm thinking? With that, well, you don't know what I'm thinking. Turn a phrase. Anyway, point being, since you don't have the flute, you're gonna have to start at Link's house, and you're gonna have to run your way back to Desert to finish it. You might as well do Swamp first, because you can then you're gonna save and quit here, go to Link's house, run down, do Swamp, come out, mirror, run to Desert.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that's going to help out lunchtime is the route, how we ended up routing it, being able to combo Swamp and then go straight to Desert because you're right there, while Kohrek already went and did Desert first. Alright, and lunchtime making their way into Swamp at 131.15, I believe. Kohrek headed towards Trinex.
Ooh, Kohrek tried to set up the double crystal hit with the Cane of Samaria and missed it.
Alright, making quick work of the first 2 necks. Now for the big one.
Alright, Trinex down. Kohrek forgetting he doesn't have the flute.
Yeah, that flute would be super duper handy right now. Just gets these runners to their locations a lot faster.
Okay, so let's kind of set this up as we're about ready to get close to Ganon's tower. Lunchtime still has to do Desert Palace, so even though he's ahead in terms of the execution of Swamp, he still has to do Desert before he can go. Kohrek just has Swamp Palace, and he's got all 7 crystals, so this still looks like it's going to come pretty close.
Yeah, and the big difference for Desert Palace between these 2 runners is Kohrek cleared out that right side. Lunchtime's not even going to have to bother with it. So just go straight to land Molas, save and quit, and make their way up to GT.
Very nice execution on Argus with Lunchtime.
Yep, and as one runner enters, another one leaves.
Alright, one last time while we're kind of waiting on both of these runners to get finished with their last dungeon. Again, please be sure to give both Lunchtime ATH and Kohrek follows on Twitch. This has been a very brutal seed, but it's going to probably be a very entertaining one to the end. Please be sure to give both of them follows. They more than deserve them.
Yeah, just the way that both of these runners have handled this seed has been absolutely phenomenal. 2 very, very good players. I believe, what was it? They were seeds 26. Lunchtime was 26 and Kohrek was 12. So very, very close in terms of skill level.
You were close. Kohrek is 12, Lunchtime is 28. So close enough.
I knew it was either 26 or 28. Regardless, though, definitely make sure to give these guys a follow. They're doing an awesome job today.
Mm-hmm.
So the only very minor thing that I see here as both of our runners head into their boss fights. Lunchtime is currently in Light World, and Kohrek right now is in Dark World. So Kohrek's going to have to mirror immediately after Swamp Palace just to get back into Light World to head up to Death Mountain. But Lunchtime can just save and quit instantly, so it should be interesting to see when both of them get up the mountain.
All right, well, Kohrek has a silver arrow in Argus's head, and that is crystal number 7. So it is time for the big game we like to play, where we guess where the big key is in Ganon's tower. If you want to play in that guessing game, you need to guess a number between 1 and 22, where you think that big key is. And in order to be on the leaderboard for that, you either need to have donated 250 bits or subscribe to one of our 6 speed gaming channels. Haha, Cell, what's your guess? Oh, chat, hold on. We kind of missed the game, so make sure you get it in.
I always go with number 13. What about you?
I mean, with how trolly this seed has been, I'm just going 22, because the way with how trolly it's been. There's only one other way it could be.
I don't know. I tend to see a lot of seeds that have so much trolliness give you the big key in like one of the first few chests. Still not going to change my answer though, based on that thought process. Alright, so correct. The first in the Dark World. Lunchtime, probably like 5-10 seconds behind here. This is going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm. The one thing in Kohrek's advantage right now is he has the silver arrows from Spike Cave.
Yeah, and that'll not only speed up Lemola's 2, but also Phase 4 of Ganon.
Alright, into GT we go. Guesses are closed. Alright, chest number 1. Small key number 2. 300 bucks. We're gonna see Kohrek go right side. Now, if they diverge at any point, we should point out that the numbers we're going to go off of is Kohrek, because Kohrek was the one who got into GT first.
Alright, so no divergence so far. So both of our runners kind of following a similar path here.
Oh. Kohrek's out of magic, but thankfully there was that magic to counter. Granted, you could have also used bombs there. Alright, number 3. Triple bombs, 4. 20 bucks, 5. 5 bucks, 6. Compass. Both runners staying on the same path.
Yeah, and running out of magic there for Kohrek. Slipped a little bit of the lead, but there it is.
Number 7 on the big torch. On the torch. Big key on the torch. That.
And a little bit of divergence there. Lunchtime electing to go pick up that key while Kohrek is going to wait until the mini Helma room.
And the first guess from a sub or supporter, the closest one was number 5 from Le Cactoire. So congratulations, you've been added to our leaderboard.
Yeah, and those mimic rooms, yet another example of a spot where the silver arrows really help out. One arrow shot instead of two to take them down.
Yeah, at this point, Kohrek has a lead, and the silver arrows are going to give him a larger one, so it's all going to come down to execution, but I would say realistically, unless Kohrek makes a critical mistake, he's going to have a advantage going into Phase 4 of Ganon.
Yeah, for sure. But again, execution, that's what it comes down to. This is crunch time for both of these runners. They know that, you know, they're expecting to see maybe a dot done in the SRL, but haven't yet, so they know they just have to, you know, keep going strong here.
And you're seeing those silvers already, you know, kind of widening the gap as Kohrek's just able to fire silver arrows at all the enemies, and Lunchtime's having to use other means to get through it. And as I say that, Kohrek has a little bit of trouble with the third Lambo, and Lunchtime is about to head into Lambo 2 after getting a health refill.
Yeah, getting a little close on health there.
Kohrek gets the triple kill, but accidentally falls down a little there.
And Kohrek decides to wait there. Pretty good call. Took a little bit of extra time to finish up that torches room.
If you don't know, you can accidentally desync in the entirety of Ganon's tower to where you have to restart it because all the enemies have been despawned if you go up that ladder as the door is closing.
Kohrek doesn't have enough magic.
Oh, and he's wasting a lot of time. There we go.
Man,
he was wasting a lot of time trying to get those anti-fairies burned.
Yeah, at that point, you just gotta go for the magic. You know, there's a full pot in there that basically every runner picks up right before the Ganon fight, because you do need that fire source for Phase 4.
Alright, Aga 2 time. Kohrek in at 145 flat. And Lunchtime in at 145.05. Double for Kohrek.
Nothing on the first one for Lunchtime.
Kohrek didn't get anything on the second one. Gets a triple there, I think.
Lunchtime picked up one on that last one. Gets a triple there.
And Kohrek has Aga 2 down. It's time for the big pig.
Only one there for Lunchtime. Just needs one more. Should be able to get it here. Down goes Aga 2. Whew! What a seed that we've had so far.
Learning about hot air balloons today. We have more important things to do, like kill you. Alright, that should be Phase 1 and 2 for Kohrek.
And Phase 1 should be down for Lunchtime. Just got to work on Phase 2 now.
Now with these race ROMs, the Ganon teleports are going to be the same, as well as like the Aga shots that you saw earlier in Aga 1 and Aga 2.
Yep, both runners now on to phase 3. Kohrek just needs one more hit on Ganon. Lunchtime still needing 2. There's the last one for Kohrek.
Did we find the arrows in the Dark World? Yes, we did. Here's one in your face. Alright, that's a double, so just one more to go. And that'll do it for Kohrek.
Yeah, get your GGs into chat for Kohrek. Heck of a race. Phenomenal time for all the punches this seed through.
And with that, Kohrek finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 23 seconds. Spam those GGs in chat.
Meanwhile, Lunchtime just wrapping up this silverless Ganon with the Butter Sword. Getting a little close on health here. Gotta be a little more careful. And that should do it for Lunchtime. Taking down the Big Pig with that last spin. Get your GGs in chat for Lunchtime. Heck of a race.
Very nicely done. And Lunchtime ATH finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, 31 seconds. GG's to Lunchtime. Alright, we have Kohrek in the waiting room. We will wait for, to see if we get Lunchtime in, and we'll bring both in together. But man, what a race. That was such a trolley race.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. The end of the seed, it really just came down to those silver arrows being the big difference between the two.
Okay, haven't heard from Lunchtime. Let me check on him real quick. Alright, well, I guess we'll go ahead and bring in Kohrek while we're waiting on Lunchtime. And joining us in chat is Kohrek. GG.
GG, thank you.
I'm sorry. I had nothing to do with this seed, and I still feel like I need to tell you I'm sorry.
It was a little bit miserable, I'm not gonna lie, but man, I was very, very surprised. I'm somebody that keeps IRC minimized until I'm done with Ganon, so I was expecting to, you know, open up IRC and see if Lunchtime had finished and be okay with that, but I'm just extremely happy to win because, man, it felt like I couldn't do anything right in this seed.
I mean, so real quick, I did hear from Lunchtime. I forgot that he does not have a mic, so he will not be joining us in here for an interview. But yeah, I mean, it was the way that whole Aga 1 play worked out. You know, it was just so murky for so long in terms of where we actually were.
Yeah, and what's crazy is there are actually 2 different ways to sequence break Aga that I just didn't know because I didn't have bombos from Zora until well after I had done Aga, and the other one was we did get a fairy in a bottle, and I completely forgot about that until I tried to Death Warp in Pod, and I'm like, oh no. But you could have used that to fairy revival fake flippers across the Dark World, but hey, I didn't do that. I guess Lunchtime didn't do that, so I guess it's even overall. But man,
Nope.
Having a required Aga that you can sequence break twice, like 2 different ways, and not doing either one. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were neck and neck, and really the only difference that came into the race was you checking Spike Cave coming out of Hera and getting the silver arrows, whereas Lunchtime, when he left Hera, went to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 ways to handle it after Ice. One was to go and get the boots right away, and then route in the rest of the crystal dungeons and hit the pyramid, and then go back to Turtle Rock. Or the other one was to do what I guess Lunchtime did, which was go get the fire rod, finish up Skullwoods, and then do Hera into Turtle Rock, and then backtrack for the other stuff. But I both of them have value. It seems like either Pyramid Fairy or Turtle Rock was going to have the mirror more likely than not. So it was just, for me, it was let's just go get the boots and then do everything else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's funny because that was like almost 20 minutes ago, and it still feels like ages ago. But I think part of it was Lunchtime did not check the hint in Spectacle Rock, so he didn't know that the boots were there until he picked them up off of Trolldorm.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then. Why, it would be the obvious choice to go get Skullwoods and get the fire rod, get Skullwoods off the board, and do all of Death Mountain in one go. But yeah, logical Aga required to get the flippers out of Pod, to get the hammer out of Ice Palace. Fun seed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm trying to think, because man, there was so much to that. Like, we were honestly worried for you at one point because Lunchtime was the first one to find Bombos and Zora. And I think he did that before going to Aga 1. And so it was very troubling of like, okay, when in the world is Kohrek going to go back to Zora? Because it's probably going to be a long time. And then when you only got flippers in Pod, that basically forced you to go back to Zora.
Yeah, I was definitely glad I got forced back there because I know the way. I know there are some players that handle the fake flipper area like I did early on with Pearl. You don't have money, but you can get a quick check of the Waterfall Cave, the Ledge, and Hobo by just walking to Hobo if you do it in that order. Some players do that. I didn't think Lunchtime was one of them, so. There was a good chance that he was going to get whatever the Zora item was, and if the sea didn't force me back there and it was important, that would not have been a good outcome.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, can't think of anything else. I mean, the only kind of question I usually ask any runners here in this tournament so far is, how you feeling so far? I'm trying to pull up your record right now, but how you feeling so far in the full tournament?
I feel pretty good after this one. This wasn't a must-win for me, but this puts me in a much better spot coming out than I was going in. Lunchtime is my, I I would say, my closest competitor for the second spot in the group. Wadey has taken a pretty hefty lead in the group, which he's a really good player that was really underranked coming in, so it's not any surprise he is where he is. But having Lunchtime and Dustin and everybody here fighting for that second spot, this coming out of here with the win feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right now. Yeah, your group is pretty tightly packed in terms of the. Oh wait, sorry. I was looking at the max. I didn't look at the score. My bad. Forget I said anything. All right. Well, any final thoughts, Kohrek?
I just want to thank you for the commentary. Thanks for the tracking, the restream, and all of that. And thanks everybody out there for watching.
Well, thank you very much, Kohrek. And I know we didn't have Lunchtime in here, but again, thanks to him as well. Again, please be sure to give both Lunchtime and Kohrek follows on Twitch. They certainly deserved it. Cell, any final thoughts from you?
What a seed. Really back and forth. Congrats to you, Kohrek. GG on the win. And yeah, I think that's about it for me.
All right, so we still have plenty of randomizer action going on. We do have a race starting up here in about 30 minutes on Speed Gaming 4. We have a swordless retro seed between Lara, GG, and JTB. Again, that's on Speed Gaming 4. And at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Speed Gaming 5, we have an Old Dungeons Hard Key Sanity between Tulane and Kern. At 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we have Inverted Old Dungeons Swordless between Phyleon and Dracaris. And then we have a bunch of other randomizer action going on this evening, so be sure to keep an eye out on the schedule as we're looking for that, as well as on the main Speed Gaming channel. I believe, don't we still have the SNES Superstars Marathon still going on?
Yeah, I think that's still happening right now.
Pulling up the schedule now for, yep, we have that still going on. And yeah, we have a whole lot of that going on tonight. So again, please be sure to keep an eye out on the Speed Gaming and fall tournament schedules for both of those races. I want to give a quick shout out to our tracker Tirasu. Did a great job keeping track of all the items that we found in this nuts seed. And Cell, it was certainly a pleasure having you in the commentary booth today.
Yeah, thanks, Jack Streffy. Great job by you today as well. It was a pleasure to work with you. Absolutely.
Hope to do it again. Well, thank you to the Speed Gaming staff. Thank you to all the volunteers behind the scenes that are making this Zelda Randomizer tournament go on. We couldn't do it without anybody behind the scenes. Thank you to everyone in chat. Again, your bit donations and subs are what keep the lights on here in the Speed Gaming Network. For Cell and Tirasu, I'm Jex Reffi. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next mission.
Have a good one.